Okay. So this is Rahul, your instructor for the entire Selenium training. So I'll be the one who will be taking your automation Selenium classes. So basically, there are two instructors in this Selenium with Java training program. One who will be taking your core Java sessions dedicatedly. And then once you're done with the Java part, you'll be moving to the automation part. So I'll be taking your entire automation classes, and I'll be taking all the live projects, including end-to-end framework designing. These are the things that I myself will be covering. So before we get started today, like we have a mixed audience over here. So there are some people who recently enrolled who are starting from the very first session, and there are some people who completed core Java and now they are moving to towards the automation, towards the Selenium part, right? But this is like a common session. This is just like an introductory session, which is equally important for the people who have completed the core Java part and now they are starting with Selenium, and even for the people who are attending the very first session, because in this session we'll be looking at the overview of what exactly Selenium is and why it is actually important. If you have seen these days, every next opening in testing, be it a manual testing, Selenium is something like a prerequisite. Even if you're applying as a manual tester, the prerequisite, they want that you should know Selenium, right? And Selenium is basically a base for any automation tool. So there are so many automation tools these days in the market. It's like if you have heard about Cypress, Playwright, and then something called as Robot Framework, APM, Rest Assured, Selenium, WebDriver, IO, n number of automation tools are there. But if we talk about Selenium, whenever someone gets into automation, the very first thing they do is they get started with Selenium. So Selenium is like a base for any automation. Once you are done with Selenium, you get that much confident that the next tool, you should be able to learn it very quickly. Right. So before we get started, just let me know, is there anyone who has not done any programming in their lifetime? Programming as in, I'm not talking about that you have practically done development. I'm just talking about basic programming concept. If you have studied it either on YouTube or have done any course or just gone through with the basic programming concept during your graduation or the schooling time. Is there anyone who have never touched any programming language? Anyone? So guys, by default, you all are on mute, but you have an option that you can unmute yourself as well, and you can directly talk to me. Or there's a chat box available. You can type it in the chat box as well, right? So I'll be looking at your chats and I'm gonna revert you on each of your query, right? But let's just make the session very interactive so that you should not feel like that you are taking an online session, right? Let's just make it like a classroom session only, so we can have a two-way communication. It's not like for the entire 2 hours of a session only I'll be talking, right? So you can ask n number of questions, queries, doubts that you have. Yeah, tell me. Okay, Achal, you are totally into manual testing, so no coding as such. Okay, that's great. So yeah, I know that 90% of our audience is from manual testing background. So that is the reason you're learning automation, because these days the scope of manual testing is almost gone. I mean, if you have just manual testing in your resume, you're not gonna get calls, interview calls, and the competition is quite high that whenever you're applying for a manual testing opening, just for one particular job, you'll see hundreds of applications. So at times, if you just have manual testing, then your resume gonna get filtered out. Right. So that is the reason, that is another reason why automation is very important. If you have to survive in the industry, even like we have seen that even let's say you get into the job and you have cracked the interview, still you're doing manual testing, right? This is what happens in the industry. You were interviewed completely on automation, but when you ended up in the job, then you are still doing manual testing. So this is what industry is, right? But if you are really good in automation, then at the time of interview, you can simply tell them that I am completely from the automation background. I'll not be doing any manual testing. So just put me into the automation part only, right? So this is what you should be stick to at the time of interview, right? Okay, so anyone like before we get started, do you guys have any questions, any queries that you want to discuss before we get started with the training? Anyone?
This is Ram. First, they are going to start with the core Java, right?
Yeah, first the core Java will be started and then we'll be moving on to the Selenium part. So today we are not doing any automation. We are not doing Java. It's just like an introductory session, right? So in this session, we're gonna see what level of programming that is required to work on Selenium and what exactly is Selenium. We're gonna see a little bit configuration part today. But if you are very new to programming, don't worry about it. We are going to write a very less code. I mean, a very simple code today, just to see that what level of coding that is actually required. So that because what happens is once we are into manual testing, we are generally afraid of writing code. So that is the major reason that we have chosen our career as a testing because we are little afraid of doing coding, so we don't go into development. We come into the testing. Testing is like a shortcut to software industry, right? So in case of automation, it is not like that. There is nothing to afraid. If we even if we are doing programming, it is not like a very high level of programming that is required, like a development level of programming that is required. Only the basic programming concepts are required. If we talk about Java, it's only the core Java that is required. There is no advanced Java required to work on Selenium, right? So basic concepts like basic if, else, loops, arrays, basic oops concepts, which you may have studied a lot of time during your graduation, but since you have not practiced it, you must have forgot everything, right? But those are the concepts which we practically use in Selenium, right? So very, very basic level of programming that is required, and that is what we are going to cover in the core Java sessions from the scratch, right? Okay, any more questions?
Sir, will you be covered any framework? Cucumber,
Yes,
TestNG?
yes. Without framework, we cannot create an automation project. So we'll be covering test engine in depth, and we'll be covering various patterns like data-driven, keyword-driven, hybrid, page objects, page factories. These are the things we are going to cover in the live projects. Let me share you the syllabus as well. So this is the entire syllabus that we are going to cover in the span of 3.5 months. So classes will be like over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, the same time, 8 p.m. India time to 10 p.m. India time. And these are the concepts we are going to cover latest, the Selenium 4 itself, the very latest version of Selenium. We're going to see the brief history of Selenium and understand the architecture of Selenium and then we're going to get started with configuring Selenium. We're going to see a couple of build tools or the dependency management tool, Maven. Then like we'll be having from the very next weekend, your first session of core Java will be started. So all the basic concepts of core Java up till collections we are going to cover. So these are the things which are actually required to work on automation. Like if you talk about simple just core Java as well, even if we start conducting just core Java sessions, so core Java will not going to end up till 3 months, right? So there are endless topics in core Java. But whatever that we need for automation, whatever that we need for interviews, we are going to cover those topics in our training, right? So whatever that you need for the framework designing part as well. So those all topics will be covered in the core Java, right? Then we're going to see Selenium for new features. So there were multiple versions of Selenium there in the industry, 1, 2, 3, and now it is 4, right? So we're going to study all the latest features, what are new things added in Selenium 4. Then we'll be studying all the basics till advanced level topics. Each and everything that you need to automate a website, we'll be learning. We'll be learning how to create XPath, CSS. These are the very frequently used locators. We're going to see how to handle dynamic element, complex elements, so that like you can automate any website on your own easily. After learning these things, you should be capable enough you can automate any website easily, right? So not only this, then we'll be starting with various frameworks like TestNG. So many things we'll be learning in TestNG. We'll be working with various utilities like report generation, database connectivity, Excel reading, log generation, sending automated emails. We'll study like how to execute tests on remote machines using Selenium Grid. We're gonna learn some of these DevOps concepts and Selenium training as well, like Dockers are there, Jenkins, Maven. We'll do AWS cloud integration, and these are the two projects that we will be designing entirely from the scratch in this training. So this is what we are going to cover, right? But the learning never ends over here, because once you go for an automation interview, you will be asked so many things, not just related to Selenium, not just related to these utilities or the frameworks that you have worked on. If you are applying as an automation test engineer, you should be good at the UI automation, UI as in the website automation, which is done using Selenium. You should be good in API automation as well. You should be good in mobile automation as well. You should be good in the DevOps tools these days, which are very, very much in demand. Not only used by DevOps engineer, but also used by developers, also used by automation test engineers. And there are dedicated courses for this as well, right? So if you have, like many of you are already enrolled in the lifetime membership package, right? So this is something like a very unique concept that we came up with. So the best part is like whatever down the line you need to learn in the automation, instead of enrolling in the course again and again, you take this lifetime membership, and let's say we are starting with Selenium now. You attend all Selenium sessions, you get yourself comfortable with the UI automation part, and then you jump over the API automation, right? Because the combination of UI and API is in a huge demand in the industry. So this is what web services API automation. Next, you want to add mobile automation to your resume as well. Then you can learn the APM part, right? You want to add another language apart from Java. There are other languages in demand, like C# is in demand, Python is in demand. So you can learn Selenium with C#, Selenium with Python. Then this is a DevOps course specially designed for automation test engineer. So you can attend DevOps in the live sessions as well. So there are like over 30 plus courses over here. It's not like for all the courses the live sessions are conducted, but majorly like we conduct live sessions for Selenium, we conduct live sessions for DevOps, for API automation, we conduct for Selenium, Python. We recently started one course for Cypress, right? So most of the training which are in demand, we try to conduct it in live sessions. And then rest of these things, there are detailed video recordings available. So video recordings, as in starting from the scratch up till advanced level, you're gonna find everything inside the detailed recording as well. So you actually get lifetime access to all these things, and any upcoming training you will be included in that training as well. So that is what this lifetime membership is, right? So yeah, but yes, to get started, you need to get started with Selenium. If in case you want to get into automation, then Selenium is the first thing that you should be doing, right? Any questions so far? Any doubts? Anything you want to ask? Anyone?
Yeah, Rahul sir, one question. This is Mohit. So after completing this Selenium framework automation, so for example, in our project, there are some automation framework has been developed, and that is mainly structured on this robot framework structure. And I believe that is they are using Python. So means after doing this course, can means for example, if somebody will be asking if you are comfortable and you can join this uh, automation test framework implementation within the project. So how much I will be means into the knowledge so that I can say yes, I can jump into this automation part and I can
See,
just
we have actually created a course on robot framework as well, but robot framework is completely a codeless framework. So this is like the entire course on the robot framework. So it is like codeless. You need not to write any code. Just for a little bit additional integration of APIs, you write some Python code, but 95% there is no coding required in robot framework. So only the keywords are required. If you are good in automation, you should be able to use those keywords as well.
okay.
So see, if your base is already built up, if your automation base is built up, then you can pick up any tool, just study it for 2 weeks and applying it in your project. That is how it works. Right? So the company, they want you to be very much robust. It's not like you stick to one automation tool. Now you know Selenium, your automation base is built up. If they ask you that, okay, you know Selenium with Java, but our client requirement is that we should create a framework in Selenium with C Sharp. So you should not say no to that job. Java, C Sharp is almost similar, right? Oops concepts remain same everywhere. So you can study C Sharp in just 2 weeks and migrate your Java code into Selenium, C Sharp, right? So that is how it works in the industry. So you have to keep on upgrading yourself. It's not like everything you need to learn in one single month or one single day. It's not like that. It's an incremental development process. Your base is built up. Now you keep on adding things. That's how it works. So is JavaScript required? JavaScript is not required for Selenium Java. It's only basic Java is required. JavaScript is required when you're working with Playwright, when you're working with Cypress, when you're working with WebDriver IO. So those tools, they require JavaScript. Okay. Anything else apart from this? Any more questions? Anyone, guys, before we get started with the training?
Yeah.
Okay. So how many of you are done with the core Java sessions? You can just type it in the chat box. Just type done in the chat box. I just want to see how many of you are done with the core Java sessions. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know most of the new people are here. So like who are attending the very first session. There are some people who are done with Java now, they will be starting with Selenium. Okay. So yeah, that's great. Okay, perfect. So I can see like more than 80% of the audience are new here. That's great to see. Okay. All right. So let's get started with our training. So very first thing that comes obviously is what exactly is Selenium? So anything and everything that you know about Selenium, just let me know. I guess Pulkit, you are unmuting your mic, but I'm not able to hear anything from your end. So just see if there is any issue with your mic, or you can type it in the chat box because I can't hear anything from your end.
Selenium is an open source tool.
Okay, it's an open source tool. Open source tool for what?
For functional regression automation.
Functional regression automation testing. Testing of what?
Web applications.
Web applications. So web-based applications only. So Selenium is only for web-based application testing, right? Automation testing of web application like websites. It cannot automate other applications. What all other applications are there? That you may have done manual testing or you may have done automation testing on. What all other applications are there? Okay, before that, other answers, Geeta says process of doing automation testing. Okay, this is an open source tool. Okay, so open source means there is no license required to work with Selenium. It's completely free of cost. Anyone can download it and start using it. No license required, right? So, but why I've written web-based testing only? What all other testing that we generally do? If you have ever done manual testing, you must have tested websites, right?
Yeah.
Apart from websites, have you done any testing on any other platform?
Standalone applications.
Standalone, like desktop,
Yeah.
desktop based. Apart from this, mobile application,
Mobile. Yeah.
mobile applications. What else?
We have backend also, a data warehouse, maintaining all the data.
So database applications. Anything else? So just database comes in backend.
We have APIs also.
APIs, right? So test Sigma, Pulkit, are you talking about some tool for performing testing? Because test Sigma is it?
These are automation tools like IDE automation.
Yeah, so that's an ID, right? So
Right.
we are talking about what type of applications, not about the automation tools, generally where we perform testing. So what all platforms where we perform testing? So we do testing of the APIs as in the web services. So we have REST, we have SOAP. SOAP is almost gone from the market. So majorly RESTful APIs are there, right? So these are the major areas where we generally perform testing, right? And if we talk about Selenium, Selenium comes here. Just web-based testing. Selenium cannot automate desktop or any other applications. Then why Selenium is very popular? Do you know a competitor of Selenium? Which is the biggest competitor of Selenium?
QTP.
QTP, or we also call it as UFT these days, right?
Yeah.
Uh, guys, there is a Achal, please put yourself on mute.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so QTP, we can test web-based applications as well as we can test desktop-based applications with QTP UFT, right? But with Selenium, we can only test web-based application. But still, Selenium is very popular. Still, Selenium is very widely used. Why not QTP? There was a time when, if we talk about automation, the very first tool comes in our mind is QTP. There was endless openings in QTP UFT. But now the time has changed. You'll hardly find openings in QTP UFT. Because majorly market have moved towards Selenium and other automation tools. Why is it so?
The license cost is too high, maybe.
License cost is too high. This is correct. The very first thing about QTP UFT is that the license is very expensive. Same thing can be achieved by other automation tools without paying any license. Then why would anyone go for a paid automation tool? Right? If everything is available in free of cost tools, then why would we go for QTP, UFT, or RFT, or other paid automation tools? So this is one of the reason. But Selenium cannot automate desktop applications. If we talk about current market, current industry, it's a time of cloud computing. Everything is on web. Every project is accessed by a URL, right? It's a time of cloud computing. So Selenium can automate anything and everything available over the web. So when 90+% of the projects are on web and it can be easily automated without paying any license, then why would one go for QTP UFT? So cost is not the only factor. There are n number of other reasons behind it. If we talk about QTP UFT, which language it supports?
VB script.
VB script. So it works with just VB script, just a small scripting language. If we talk about VB script, which operating system it supports? VB, VB is a product of which organization? Microsoft. Correct. And which operating system it supports?
Microsoft, it's Windows.
Windows. It means when you are automating something using QTP, you can execute your code only and only on Windows. But these days, there are many clients who are using Mac machines, Linux boxes, Android, iOS, and they want their product should be fully tested on all major operating systems because end user could use anything. So QTP only works on Windows. You cannot test it on other areas. This is one of the biggest drawback. Whereas if we talk about Selenium, what all language Selenium supports?
C#,
C Sharp,
Python,
Python,
Ruby,
Ruby,
Java,
Java, PHP,
PHP,
JavaScript.
script.
All major languages in the world are supported by Selenium. So multiple language support is there. Right. If I just talk about Java, if you ever install Java, the very first message you're gonna see is 3 billion devices runs on Java. So be it Linux, be it Mac, be it Windows, any operating system you name is supported by Java. And if you run your code of Selenium in Java, you can execute that code in any operating system you want, and that too without any license. So this is one of the best thing that it has got a multi-platform support as well. So you can run your code on Windows, on Linux, on Mac, on Solaris, on iOS, on Android, all major operating system you can perform testing on. Not only this, it has got a multi-browser support as well. So you can run your code, execute your website automation on Chrome, on Firefox, on Safari, on Edge, on Opera, on all major browsers, you can execute your test cases. Whereas when QTP was started, the only support was given on IE. Right? If we talk about Selenium, you can execute your test on multiple browsers, multiple machines, platforms, operating system, multiple languages. Anything else about Selenium? Anything else that you know about Selenium? Any feature about Selenium, any components? Yes, guys, tell me.
Yeah. So there were like three initially. There were like Selenium,
Okay, components.
RC. Yeah. So grid,
RC,
grid,
Grid,
WebDriver,
WebDriver. So these are the three components in Selenium, or is there any other as well?
there was like one record and playback.
record and play, which is IDE.
ID, yeah.
IDE is a record and play plugin of Selenium, right? So these are the four major components of Selenium, out of which market is currently using
WebDriver.
Grid. So market is using Grid only.
WebDriver.
WebDriver, correct. So market is majorly using this. WebDriver is what your latest Selenium is, right? So you will be working on WebDriver. You'll not be working on record and play. This is not at all used in the industry, although it is available as a plugin, because see, every automation tool has got some record and play functionality. If we talk about record and play of QTP, UFT, they have majorly invested into the record and play feature. The record and play feature is very much powerful, while it's not like the case with Selenium. In Selenium, record and play is a very small plugin. If you need to automate your entire website, if you want to work on frameworks, you cannot use Selenium IDE because it is not that much powerful. What powerful in Selenium is the coding part, because through coding you can achieve anything in Selenium, and that coding is done using WebDriver. Initially, when it was started with RC. This was the coding library. So initially there was Selenium 1.0, which was launched in the year 2004 by a developer. Which developer? Which company came up with Selenium? Like we talk about QTP. Which company came up with QTP?
HP.
HP has acquired QTP. From which company?
Mercury.
Mercury, correct. Same way, when Selenium was started, which company came up with Selenium?
ThoughtWorks.
Correct. So it is ThoughtWorks. So ThoughtWorks is the one who designed Selenium, right? And who is the developer behind it? Anyone knows about it? Anyone knows the name? Which developer came up with Selenium? So Jason Huggins is the one who designed Selenium. So in the very first version, he launched IDE, RC, and Grid. Then Selenium 2 came into the market. It was started in 2006 and was officially launched in July 2011. And this was launched by which developer? And where it was launched? So it was launched by
Simon Stewart.
Simon Stewart, correct. So Simon Stewart is the one who's the lead developer who developed this project, and a team of not just like the people who were working with Simon Stewart, because this is an open source project. Many companies have contributed into the development of this project. So initially it was started at Google, right? And many Google developers are also using WebDriver in their project, in their automation project. Google itself is using WebDriver hugely, right? So initially it was started at Google, but later on companies like Facebook, Adobe, developers from big organizations have actually contributed into the development of this project. And which project he started? He started the project as WebDriver. So WebDriver was started at Google. So there was a purpose why WebDriver came into the picture. When there was already an automation tool, Selenium was already there, RC was already there. RC was created with a very limited functionalities. There was a lot of challenges people have faced while using the very first version of Selenium RC. We're going to talk about those challenges when we understand the architecture of Selenium. So These challenges were recognized by Simon Stewart, and he started a project parallel to RC and named it as WebDriver. Later on, both the project got merged, and then they created a new version of Selenium, which is called as Selenium 2.0, in which how many components were there? This contains IDE, RC, WebDriver, grid. So these were the 4 components in Selenium 2.0. So this release went up to 2.53.1. So this 531 was the last release of Selenium 2. And this RC, they have deprecated this in the release 2.44 onwards. Deprecated means that now they're asking everyone to switch to WebDriver, because we have created a very powerful automation tool. We don't want that people should be using RC anymore. Although when people started using Selenium as Selenium, very first version, when they used Selenium RC, many websites were automated at that point of time. Many frameworks were created. Now, all of a sudden, they came up with a new Selenium 2.0 WebDriver. They are saying that, okay, migrate your code to Selenium 2. So everything cannot be done like in very less time. So they've given time to migrate the script, and in 2.0 they have continued the support of RC. But in 2.44 release, they have mentioned that we are going to deprecate it, no more development or support to be given to RC. And then later in Selenium 3, when Selenium 3 was launched, in Selenium 3, they have completely removed RC. So only ID, WebDriver, and grid is there. And this release went up to 3.141.59. And then finally, Selenium 4.0 came into the market, which is the current version. Can anyone tell me which is the current version along with the release number? What is that? Anyone knows? Is it 4.1, 4.2, 4. Anything? Let me know.
4.22.
4.22? Are you sure? Is it 22?
Guess.
Okay. Have you checked on the website now?
No.
Okay. That's right. So yeah, I mean, a few days back it was 4.21. I just not opened up the website, so maybe it is 4.22 now. So okay, can anyone tell me which is the main website of Selenium?
Selenium HQ.
Seleniumhq.org. Is that the website?
I think that has been changed.
That's the old website.
Yeah.
Now, what is the website? Come on, guys. I want others to be participate in the conversation as well. Which is the website of Selenium?
Selenium.dev. Just now I
Selenium.
checked. Yeah.
Okay. So it's selenium.dev. See, the very first thing about Selenium automates browsers. That's it, right? If you go to download, you'll see the current version. It's actually 4.22. It's released June 21, 2024, right? So this is the current version. Prior to this, it was 4.21. So now it is 4.22. And we will be working on the latest version itself, 4.22 itself, right? So in this, we have ID, we have WebDriver, we have grid. Then what is the difference in Selenium 3 and Selenium 4? Selenium 4 is fully W3C compliance. So all the major CDP features, so something which is called as CDP features, these are implemented in Selenium 4. Now, what are CDP? CDP is Chrome Dev Tool Protocol features. So something, if you have if you have ever right-clicked on your browser and clicked on inspect, you get some tools over here, which is provided by your Chrome browser. And at times, these tools help you in checking the performance of your application, executing your like functionality on a slow 3G, or you want to see as a mobile view of your website how it looks like in a responsive mode. So a lot of things are there. Now these things I'm doing it manually right now, but with the help of the CDP features in WebDriver, we can automate these things as well. We can execute these things through some automation code as well, right? So this is what the implementation in Selenium for the CDP features, right? So that's what implemented in Selenium 4, right? So these are the major components that we discussed about ID, RC. RC is the coding library, WebDriver is coding library. What is inside coding library? We're gonna look at it soon. And then what is ID? ID, let me show you the ID as well. Although if you go to the home page, you will see WebDriver ID grid. So you can click on read more and you can download this IDE for Chrome and Firefox. It is available. Once you download it, I guess I've already downloaded it. It's not showing up over here. Where are the plugins? I just removed all plugins, I guess. No extensions available. Anyways, so it's very simple to use it. Just click on Chrome, download, and you should be able to. This item is inactive, enable now. So this is Selenium ID. I've already installed it. So just click on it. You can see a plugin that opens up like this. Click on record a new test in a new project. Give some project name, let's say Google project. Click on OK and give the URL http google.com. Click on start recording. You'll see a browser launches. See, it's written over here, Selenium ID is recording. Now, whatever you perform action on this page, each and everything will be recorded. You click on this, what all actions that I've provided. If I open up this ID, you will see all these actions are being recorded over here. Now I can stop this. First of all, save this, stop this. Maybe we have not closed the browser. Let me close the browser and then give the test name, Google test. Click on OK. And now you can see if I click on run all test, it will gonna start the browser, we're gonna start typing and gonna execute everything. Right? This is what record and play, basic record and play means. So normally what people do, they click over here, click on export, and they export the test into some coding language like Java JUnit. I'll click on export and I'll save this file and I'll show you what is inside this file. And you'll see the code over here. So what exactly we are going to use when we are going to work with automation, we are going to write this code on. Right? You might be thinking that this is a very complex code, but no, this is a very simple code. I'll show you once I write some code while using some editor, you'll find it very simple. So normally people do record and play, they extract this code, they move this code to some platform like Eclipse and other IntelliJ, and then they try to do manipulation in this code and then they try to write more code. But this is not at all complex that you need to do record and play and generate the code from there. Once you start understanding Selenium, you'll find it very easy. It's not like we are developing any software, so we need to learn the development level code. We just need to know basics of programming because all the coding is already done. And we just need to call that code. In order to call that code, we need to know basics of programming. So if we we were talking about competitors of Selenium, like QTP, UFT, RFT, other automation tools are there. Now, these tools, they actually provide you a platform. If you have ever used QTP, then you get a setup file. You double click on it, you install QTP on your machine. The software is more than 1 GB, right? And it contains so many features. You get something like a GUI platform where you can do record and play, you can do scripting, you can use multiple features of that tool. But if you talk about Selenium, Selenium is not a tool. So we mentioned over here that it is an open source tool, but Selenium is not a tool. You cannot install Selenium. You don't get any exe file. You don't get any setup file, which you double click and install it. Selenium, you cannot see Selenium. It's not a tool. So if it is not a tool, then what exactly is Selenium? So what I've just shown you over here, this is what Selenium is. This is Selenium. And this is not a tool. Selenium is basically a library. Selenium is, or you can say, collection of libraries. Collection of libraries. Selenium is a framework. Selenium is a project, or we can also call Selenium as an API. So Selenium is basically an API. Now, what do you understand by the term API? What is an API? Before we get started with Selenium, the very first thing we need to understand, what is an API? What is an API? Tell me.
Application program interface.
Application programming interface, but that is a full form. So what do we have inside application programming interface?
Interface between two software.
Interface between two softwares, correct? What else? So what is written inside that? What is written inside API?
Calling different methods and
Methods, classes,
objects.
interfaces, right?
Yeah.
It's a complete project. So it's basically a code that is written inside API, right? Some company has created some software. While creating that software, they may have created many classes, right? They may have created many functions. So API consists of multiple classes and multiple functions. Right? We'll practically understand this. Call and request is also a part of API, but here you are comparing API with web services. Those are also APIs, but the API itself is a huge term, not just web services. Right? If I talk about API, let's say, let me take a very simple example. Let's say I'm a Java developer and I work with some xyz.com. So here I got a task that I need to design a calculator. Now, in a calculator, there are various operations available. I can add something, I can subtract something, I can divide something, I can multiply something, and so on. Right? As a developer, if I have to develop a calculator with all these functionalities, so how will I do that? I'll choose any programming language. I'm a Java developer, so I'll be using Java programming language only, right? And then what I'll do, I'll gonna create a class with the name as calculator. Now, everyone, have you heard what a class is? I'm not saying that you've practically created a class, but every one of you must have heard there is something called as a class, something called as an object, something called as oops concepts,
Yes, sir.
right? Anyone who have never heard about it? Don't worry about the syntax. We are not learning any programming right now. We're just trying to understand the concept. What is an API? And for that, I've created a class. So if you don't know what is a class, don't worry. From the next weekend, when we start with the core Java concepts, from ABC, we'll be learning each and everything in Java. Right? All the classes and everything, whatever that we are covering today as well, these things will be covered again in your core Java. So don't worry about the programming part. So what do we have inside class?
Objects and methods.
Objects and methods, right? Methods, or we call them as functions as well. So function methods, both are same thing. We are working in Java, we call them as methods. If we work in JavaScript, we call them as functions, right? So functions as in, we have a functionality addition. Now I need to develop this functionality. So what I'll do, I'll go inside calculator class and I'll gonna create one function called as addition. From now onwards, we'll start calling functions as methods because in Java, we call them as methods. So a method gonna contain such functionality which will add some numbers, right? So inside this, I'm going to write some code which is going to add some numbers. So next time when you call add, it is going to add some numbers. Same way, I need to implement subtract. I'll implement subtract. I'll write some code inside it. If you call this, it's going to subtract some number. Then divide, then multiply, and so on. So one by one, I'm going to implement all these functionalities inside the calculator class. Now let's assume I've implemented all these functionalities. Now I want to check whether this addition functionality is working fine or not. For that, what I need to do? I need to call addition method from the calculator class. So how to call a method from a class? How we call method from a class?
Sir, using object, creating object.
By creating object. What is the syntax? What should I write?
Sir, in main method, or we need to implement some other class we are going to implement in other class.
No, just tell me the syntax of creating an object.
Okay,
Don't
sir.
worry about main method and other things.
Sir, calculator,
Calculator,
some ABC variable
ABC
equal to new
new
calculator constructor.
calculator, right? This is what the syntax of creating an object of this class. I've created the object. Now tell me how to call the method. How to call add.
Sir, ABC dot add.
ABC dot add. If I want to call subtract, ABC dot subtract. If I want to call divide, sorry, ABC dot divide. Instead of ABC, let's just give it some meaningful name. I'll name it as calci, right? This you can give any name. So calci dot subtract, calci dot divide, calci dot add, and calci dot multiply. That is how you'll be calling each and every method of this. But if you run this much code, whatever you have written inside addition, subtraction, division, that will be executed, right? But in order to call these methods, you first need to create an object of this class. And this is the syntax of creating an object. So what is an object inside this statement? What is an object in this statement?
Calculator.
Calculator? Is this calculator an object?
No,
This one?
that's yeah.
Is this an object? How about others?
Tells.
Calci is an object?
Yes.
Okay.
So calci is a variable. Calci is
Calci is a
variable.
variable. Is it a
Yes, sir.
variable or is it an object?
Is
Sir,
the name of the object.
Sir, Calci is a variable which contains the address of object created with the help of new keyword.
With the help of new keyword. Okay. So someone is saying object is created with new keyword. Someone is saying calculator is an object. Someone is saying calc is an object. So what exactly is an object here?
So we have created the cal CLC object for the calculator class, and for that we are calling the constructor as equal to new calculator. So
Okay.
yes.
We'll do it step by step, let's say. What is this called? What is this?
Class.
Class. Anything else we call it as? Apart from class?
Reference.
Is this called as reference? We call it as a type. You know, we have data types. So this is one of the type. This is of the class type, right? Then we have this. What do we call this?
Reference variable.
Reference variable. Correct. We call it as a reference variable. This is not an object. This is holding the address of an object. An object is always created when we say new calculator. I'll show you practically as well this. What is this?
Assignment operator.
Assignment operator. Correct. What is this?
Keyword.
Keyword. Correct. And what is this?
Constructor.
Construct. Correct. So yeah, all these things are correct. Now let us like what happens is right now we are writing everything in Notepad. So previously people used to write Java code in Notepad, but time have changed. There are a lot of editors available with artificial intelligence. If we are not good in coding, these editors helps us a lot in writing code. If we make any mistake, it provide us suggestions. Let's say if there are hundreds of methods inside a class, we cannot learn all the methods. So we simply put a dot, it shows us list of all the method and we can simply pick the methods from there. So some editors are paid, some are open source like IntelliJ is there, NetBeans is there, Eclipse is there. Eclipse is one of the most popular editor, very widely used, completely open source and very easy to use. So we're gonna start with Eclipse IDE. IDE is like integrated development environment, not like Selenium IDE, right? So this is going to provide you a platform where you can do coding, you can import a lot of projects, create classes, interfaces, n number of things you can do inside this editor. But there's a prerequisite to get started with this editor is that you need to have Java installed on your machine. Java as in JDK. So the least supported version, I mean, the best supported version and the, you can say where it starts right now, it starts as in, if you talk about, there are multiple versions of Java available in the market. There are the latest version as well, which is, I guess, 21, 22, or maybe beyond that as well. So I don't recommend you to use the latest version of Java. So like previously, we used to use JDK 8 as in 1.8, which is Java 8. This was the most stable version. But latest version of Selenium has stopped the support of Java 8. So what I would recommend you to use is JDK 11. This is the most stable version. So most stable version is JDK 11. But if you have JDK 13, if you have JDK 17, then also it is fine. But if you have the latest version of Java, then I don't recommend you to use that because you may gonna face a lot of challenges while you do other integrations in your project, right? So some of things might not work. So if I myself is using JDK 11, if you have 11, if you configure this, you may not gonna face any issues in future while doing any integration. So installing Java is very, very simple. Java is also open source. Simply go to Google and say download JDK 11. You go to the very first link, this is by Oracle. You see a lot of things over here. So Java is supported on multiple platforms. You can use it for Linux, for Mac, for Windows. Right now we are on Windows, so we'll be downloading this x64 installer. This is a exe file. Just click on it and select this, download it, and it gets downloaded to your machine. Now, before downloading it, it may ask you to sign up. So sign up as in you need to create a free account of yours on Oracle website. Once you do it, you get this exe downloaded in your download. So once it is downloaded, double click on it like you install any simple software. Double click, next, Java gets installed. That's it. Very simple to install Java. So once it is installed, it will generate some folders inside C drive, program files, and you will see a folder of Java here. If you open it, you get this JDK folder, JDK 11. If you open it, there's a bin folder, and inside this, you'll find Java somewhere over here. Now, with Java, I mean, you'll be using a lot of other tools as well, like you'll be using Eclipse, you'll be using something called as Maven, Jenkins, a lot of other things. We're going to talk about what are these things, Maven, Jenkins. But all these things will not going to work if you don't have Java on your machine. Now, how to tell these things? Where is Java in our machine? Because Java is at this location. So what we need to do, we need to configure Java in our global system environment variables. So what happens is you need to copy the path of the JDK folder. Copy this and go to start and type edit. This is a shortcut to your edit system environment variables. Click on this, click on environment variable, and you see user variable and system variable. You need not to do anything in the user variable. You need to go inside system variable and click on new and create a variable name. Name it as Java home. Paste this path. Click on OK. Now there will be a variable created which is holding this address. So see, this is created over here. Once you're done with this, go down, you'll see a path variable. Edit this. Don't delete it. There are so many system configuration also done inside this. When you install your Windows System 32 and a lot of other programs are defining their paths over here. So don't edit anything, don't modify or delete anything. Otherwise, it will it may corrupt your Windows as well, right? So these are very crucial settings. So just click on new, at the end, type percentage Java underscore home percentage. When you type this, this will bring the path of this JDK folder here. And where is Java in the JDK folder? Java is inside this bin folder. So after doing this, you will say \bin. Like I've already done it over here. So I'm not going to redo it. Let me delete this. Click on OK once you're done with this. OK, and Java is successfully configured. Now open up command prompt and type java-version. Should show you the current version of Java on your machine. Right? Once you've done this, you have successfully configured Java. Now you need an editor to write the Java code. So simply say download Eclipse. Go to this link. Don't download it from here. Click on download packages. Now you see a lot of things with Eclipse. This editor supports C, C++ as well. This editor supports PHP as well, Python as well, Ruby as well. Multiple languages are supported. This is just an editor. But we need it for only basic Java programming. So we will be installing Eclipse IDE for Enterprise Java and Web Developer. This is what we'll be installing. So we'll be downloading it from here. This is for Windows. This is for Mac. This is for Linux. Just click on it. You can see in the status bar down, it is showing that it is going to download a zip file. So you're going to get a zip file. zip file for somewhere around 531 MB. So once you get that zip file, I've already downloaded this. So I've kept it in my D drive software. So this is what a zip file will look like. Just unzip it. You get a folder like this. Open up this folder. You get Eclipse folder. Open this. You see a lot of other folders. There is nothing installable in Eclipse. This is the application. Double click on it and we'll launch Eclipse. If you have not installed Java, you'll get error over here itself. So this will only work if Java is installed and configured properly in the environment variables, right? Now it is asking you to select a directory as workspace. So since we'll be starting as new, we'll be creating a new workspace. Now workspace is basically a location where you'll be maintaining your project, where you'll be keeping your code. So all the things related to code will be kept at one location. So next time when you again open up Eclipse, you want to open that project, you just need to give the path of that project here. So I'm going to create a project with a name as, let's say, batch July 2024 Selenium. And I'm going to click on launch. So now it's going to create a workspace. It will provide me a platform where I can create some project, I can create some classes, right? So it's going to take few seconds and then it's going to launch Eclipse. Okay, till the time it is launching it, any doubts, any questions so far? Anyone? So far,
Sir,
yeah.
sir, I just want to know that which framework we are going to implement in our project.
Which framework? As in, will be using TestNG itself, TestNG framework. So more,
No, sir. I mean, with page object model.
yeah, we'll be using page objects itself. Page objects using page factory. Yeah, this looks ID for Java developer also looks good. Anything that supports Java, although it is you have not downloaded the enterprise Java and web developer. This is the one that I'm using, but yes, Java, this one also works fine. So you have this version, I guess. This one also works fine.
Okay, so I can uninstall it and then download
No,
install that.
don't need to uninstall it. If you're
Okay.
using this, then that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So this is the welcome screen. Just close it, and this is how your Eclipse look like. This is where you'll be creating your projects. Here, you're going to write some code. Here, you're going to see the output of the code. So let me close this. We're going to talk about multiple Eclipse features once we proceed with the course. Now, right now, first of all, we need to understand what is an API. For that, we started working as a Java developer and we were creating a calculator, right? So we need to first work as a Java developer and we'll be creating a new project. Click on create a project. Select Java project from here. Click on next and then give the project name. So I'm going to give this name as calculator project. Any name you can give over here, right? And Java version I'll be selecting as 11, right? Uncheck this create module info. This is not required. So rest of the things will remain as it is. Click on finish and click on open and you're going to see your Java project is created. If you expand this project, you will see SRC folder where you'll be writing the code and you will see some JRE system library. All these libraries, basically some jar files already added with your project. So these jar file contains internal classes of your Java. What happens like when we used to work in the Notepad, we need to add everything manually, like all the import statement, import java dot util dot star, import java dot math dot random, and number of other libraries. Like in C++, if you have worked, you must be using like include conio.h, studio.h, right? Same thing we do it in Java as well. But when we are working in Eclipse, in order to use internal classes, we need not to worry about all these imports. This is automatically done, automatically handled by Eclipse. So you just need to focus on creating your own classes. So I'm going to create a new class like calculator. I'll right click over here and I'll say new and I'll click on class and it is asking me for the class name. I'll name this class as calculator with a capital C. This is very important. There are best coding practices that we will be following. It's not like if I started with small c, it is going to give me any error. No, it will still create a class. But as per the industry standard, class name always starts with a capital letter. And then we're going to check this public static void main. We're going to finish it. And see, this is a new project created. Let me increase the font size. Let me close this. Now here, you're going to see a lot of things. So a lot of things are then, you see something like public, class. These are in reddish color. This is in black color. All these reddish colors are predefined keywords. And we have one dedicated lectures in core Java for it. What is public, private, protected? These are called as access modifiers, access specifiers. Then we have static, non-static members. Then we have void, string, int as a return type to a method. This thing is a by default method in Java, which is a main method. Anything you need to execute in Java should be present inside this method body. This is the body of the method. This is the body of the class. A class can hold multiple methods, right? But if you want to execute anything inside Java, it has to be present inside this main method, right? So what are these things? Don't worry about it right now. We have a detailed lecture in core Java for all these things. For the timing, let us try to print something. Whenever we start with any programming language, the first thing we print is hello world. Like if we talk about printing in C, how we print in C? How do you print in C? Printf, correct. C++,
So see out.
C out, correct. And Java,
sysout.println.
system.out.println. So we'll say system out println. The very first program of any programming language is to print hello world. This is the run button. Simply click on it and you're going to see hello world is printed, right? Very easy to get started with Java. Just print hello world. But we are not here to print hello world. We are working as a developer and we need to design a calculator. And a calculator contains various functionalities, addition, division, subtraction. So I'll be designing them one by one. I'll first design addition method. Whenever we are creating a method name always starts from a small letter. If I started with capital letter, it will not throw any error. It will still work. But these are better coding practices. So we follow something called as camel casing. Camel casing. Now, what is camel casing? Whenever you are creating a class name, let's say there is a name with 3 words like the dark night. If I write it like this, it is not very readable. To make it readable, if we are creating it as a class name, the class name always start with a capital letter. And any word that joins will be in caps. If I create it as a method name, it starts from a small letter. Any joining word will be in caps. This is in a form of a camel. This is what is called as camel casing, right? So if you study anyone else's Java project, now you should be able to identify, okay, this is a class and this is a method. Because everyone in the industry use the same process. Even you look at the Selenium library, you're gonna find the same way they have used classes methods. Should be able to understand it easily, right? So we're gonna create addition method. Now inside this, I'm going to write some code which is going to add some numbers. But right now we have not just studied programming. So what to do? We'll just print something. We'll print adding some numbers. It means whenever you call this addition method, instead of adding, it is going to print, adding some numbers. Same way, I'm just going to copy this and create other methods, like one is subtract, subtracting some numbers. One is divide, dividing some numbers. One is multiply, multiplying some numbers, and so on. So this is how we have created all the functionalities. We have successfully implemented all the functionalities inside this calculator project. Now I want to check whether this is working fine, whether this is working fine or not. So for that, what I need to do, I need to create an object of this class. How to create object? We just studied here, like this. I'll just copy this, go inside the main method, and paste it here. And see, we are not getting any errors. This is a correct statement. Why? If I change this to calculators, you can see it highlighted in red color. Now Eclipse is not able to understand what this calculator says. If you mouse over on this, Eclipse will say calculators cannot be resolved to a type. See, this thing is called as a type, right? This thing is called as a type. So it is asking change it to calculators, create a class as calculators. So either we create a class calculators, but we have a class called as calculator. So change this to calculator. Click on this, it will be changed. Right? So this thing is called as a type. Now, if I say calc dot, I'll get list of all the methods inside this class, like addition, division, multiplication, subtraction. So I'm going to call methods one by one, calc dot add. If I run this, you're going to see adding some numbers. Now, if I say calc dot divide, calc dot multiply, calc dot subtract, one by one, I can call all the methods. If I run it, you can see everything is working fine. Now there is one more method which has got the same name as of the class name. Well, what we call it as? A method having a same name as of the class name. What do we?
Constructor.
Constructor. What are constructors? We have constructors in C++ as well. What are these?
Which do not return.
There is no return type. See,
Return, yeah.
written something like void over here. I have not written anything here. This is called as a return type, right? What are return type? Don't worry. We're gonna study. What are constructors? We're gonna study in depth, right? But still, if you know anything about constructor, just let me know.
So constructor is used to initialize an object.
To initialize an object. Okay, when I'm saying it is like a method, I can write some code inside this as well. Let's say I write a code calling constructor. Now, how to call this method? Should I go here and say calc.calculator? See, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting calculator. So this is not a method. You cannot call it explicitly like addition, division, multiplication. You cannot call it like this. So how to call this? Method which used to initialize the object, correct? How to call it?
We need to call it directly.
Directly? What should I write?
We can call it using this operator.
Using this operator? Should we use this operator to call it? To call the constructor?
I think, sir, we don't need to
called.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Constructor is a method which can called automatically
Automatically when?
at the time of running the program.
At the time of object creation. So whenever an object is created, a constructor is automatically called. You need not to call it explicitly like these methods. Even if you don't call these methods, where are we creating object? We are creating object in this statement. As soon as object is created, the very first thing you can see is called as a constructor. Right? So whenever a new object is created, so where the object is created, what is an object? Again, the same question. What is an object in this statement? Some people were saying this is an object. Some people were saying this is an object. Let's assume this is an object. I'll remove that one. Still, it is a valid statement. There are no errors. If this is a valid statement, if I run this, if this is an object, if I run this, it means constructor will be called. Right? If calc is an object, then it should call constructor. Tell me, if I run this, whether the constructor will be called or not.
No.
No.
No? Let's run this. See, nothing happening. Right? So it means this is not an object. Now tell me, some people were saying this is an object. Still, it is a valid statement. Now, if I run this, will the constructor be called or not?
Yes, sir, it will call.
Will it be called? How about others? Will it be called?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's run this. See, constructor is called. It means this is where the object is created, right? Because whenever the object is created, constructor is called. Calc is not an object. So if this is not an object, then why this is required? We can create only this.
We are initializing it on the calc, the variable.
What is the need for that? Why we need it?
Sir, we
In
need
order to
it
call the
because
method.
Call the methods. So how will we call addition, division, subtraction if we don't have that calc available? I will say calc.add, calc.multiply. Can I call addition method without calc?
No.
Can you call it? How about others? Can I call addition without calc?
no, sir.
No? I can still call it.
Yes.
See. And if I run this, you're gonna see adding some numbers. Right? But
Sir,
now
is
how
it
to
a
call...
method chaining approach?
Yeah, it's a method chaining approach. But now how to call division? How to call division?
In the
Or
same way.
Same way, I again need to write new calculator dot subtract new calculator dot divide new calculator dot multiply. So it means in order to call 4 methods, what I did, I created 4 different objects. See, if we have 100 methods, are we going to create 100 different objects and each object calling its method? No, we are not going to do it in that way. So what we want, only one object should be created in a memory and all the methods should be referred from the same object reference. So what I did, wherever the object is created, I store that object address in some variable. So variable could be anything. XY is equal to this. Right? I can change this name to ABC. I can change this name to XYZ. I can change this name to CLC. Anything, any meaningful name we generally give. This is a variable only. Now, in Java, every variable must have some type. Like if you are storing a value 100 in some variable value equal to 100, what will be its type?
Int.
Int, because this is the integer value. Can you store it inside string? Can you store it inside string?
No.
No, it will throw error, right? If you have to store it inside string, you need to add it in double quotes. Like if I want to store my name, I'll store it in string. Like, can I store my name in int? So I cannot, right? So whatever the value is, the type will be according to that. So if we talk about string, what is string? What is string in Java?
So string is a collection of
Character.
characters.
What else? What else is string? What do you call it as?
String is a
Class
class
type.
actually.
Class. It's a data type. It's a data type as well as it is a class. See, if you mouse over onto string itself will tell you that this is a class. String.
Class.
If string is a class, then what is value?
It's a variable.
It's a variable. Variable. It's a reference variable. If you say this variable dot, you get list of all the methods which are inside string class. See, all these method belongs to string class. With every method, you'll see string present. Right? Same way, when we are storing this in some variable, this variable cannot have a type string. This cannot be of type int. It will always be of the same class type. So that is the reason we call it as a type. This is a variable or a reference variable which is holding the address of an object. An object is always created with new calculator. And this is a keyword. And this is your constructor, because whenever a object is created, the very first thing that is called is constructor. Right? So this is what the statement. Although these things will be covered in the core Java sessions. So if you're very, very new to programming, not able to fully understand it, don't worry about it. We're just trying to understand the concept, because we need to understand what is an API. And in order to make you understand what is an API, I need to write at least this much code. Now I can say calci.add, calci.subtract, calci.divide, calci.multiply, save this, run this. Only one object is created and all the methods are referred from the same object reference. Right? Now, we have tested everything, addition, subtraction, division, everything is working fine in this project. We have fully tested it. Now I want to launch it in the market. Why? Because let's assume I've written some 100 lines of code in this addition method with very complex logic. Now, I don't want that next time if someone wants to do addition division, he should again put this effort in again creating the entire code, again writing 100 lines of code and then use it. I've already implemented it. Right? I want, if anyone wants to do addition division, he can make a use of this library. So I want to launch it free of cost as an open source project. Open source not only means free of cost. Open source means anyone can contribute into the development of this project as well. Next time, maybe some person comes and he likes my project and he asked me to contribute in the project. He want to contribute, like he want to create some more functionality of calculating percentage, square root, then he's most welcome. He can add on these functionalities in my project. Or if someone wants to access this functionality free of cost, he can do it. It's an open source project. That is what open source means. So how to launch this project? Now what we'll do, we'll right click on our project. We'll go to export. We'll say Java. We'll select the jar file. Jar file is basically Java archive. We generally export our projects in this archive file. And we name this project as calculator version 1.0.jar. And the very first version of our project. And we'll be storing it on the desktop. Click on finish. And this is the calculator project that is created. Now, can I double click and install it? If I double click, will it gonna install calculator?
No.
No, right? This jar file will not do any installation. With this jar file, you'll only gonna come to know how many classes are there in this project, how many methods are there in this project. You want to access any method, you can access it. But if the developer has not given you the right to see the code that is written inside addition method, you'll not be able to see it. But you can access addition method in your project, right? So what I did, I just copied this and I uploaded it on my website. Why? Because website can be accessed from any part of the world. Next time, if someone wants to do addition division, can go to my website, download this jar file and can access the functionality without paying anything, free of cost, right? So after doing this, I left this organization. This xyz.com. Let us close this project. Let's close this project. Now I joined another organization. Again as a Java developer. This time I joined American Express. So there's a Java project in MX as well, right? Which was already created before I joined. And there were so many functionalities already available in this project, right? So there was a class called as, just a moment. There's a class called as banking, which was already there in this project. And some functionality like public void profit. To calculate profit, there was a functionality. To calculate loss, there was a functionalities available. Right? So these functionalities were already available. I was hired in between of this project. Now they asked me to implement a functionality to add salaries for n number of employees. So something like I need to create an addition method over here as well. Now, if I talk about the functionality of this addition method, this is similar to what I've created in my previous company in calculator project. Almost same code I have to write it over here as well. There are two ways I can do it. I can either write the entire code from scratch. I can do it. That's not an issue, although it's a very complex code, but it may take me 1 or 2 weeks to finish it. But why to put such an effort if that functionality is already available, fully developed in some other project and in open source project? So what I did, I've gone to that company's website, I downloaded that jar file, which contains that addition method. And then in my banking project, I right click, I've gone to build path, I've clicked on add external archives, and I've selected that jar file, clicked on open. And that jar file is added as a reference library in my project. If you expand this, you should be able to see the calculator class and all the methods that we have created in the previous project, in the previous organization. But I'm not able to see the functionality of addition. How many lines of code that was written? We're not worried about it, right? Because that functionality is already developed, fully tested. It's working fine. We need not to look in the code. We just want to access the functionality and implement it in our project. So how we'll do it? We're going to create an object of calculator class. We'll say calculator calc equal to new calculator. And see, I'm able to create the object without any errors. Why? Because I have this jar file in my project. If I remove this jar file, if I go to build path, remove it, now Eclipse is not able to understand what this calculator is, because this is coming from someone else's project. And we have added that project as a reference library in our project. Now it is able to understand what calculator is. Now I'll go inside add, I'll change this to add salary. And I want to call that addition method. I'll simply say calc.add. See, I've implemented the addition functionality here without rewriting the entire code. Now, if you want to check this add salary method from the banking class, how will you call this method from the banking class? You need to create an object of this class, then you call it. So first you need a main method. First I'll add a main method over here. And inside this, we'll create an object of banking, b equal to new banking. And then I'll say b dot add salary. Save it, run it. And you can see same addition functionality is executed without rewriting the code with the help of this jar file. So if we talk about this jar file, this is what an API is. This acts as an API to American Express project, right? And if you're talking about Selenium, Selenium is one of the same thing. Selenium is available in a form of a single jar file or multiple collection of jar files. If in case you want to use Selenium in this project, you can use it as well. So what you need to do, you just need to go to the main website of Selenium, selenium.dev, and go to downloads. Download the latest Selenium, latest stable version 4.22. Just click on it and see what it is downloading. It is downloading a 36 MB jar file. See, this is a jar file. Selenium server 4.220.jar. This is downloaded. It's over here. What I'll be doing, I'll just copy this path. I'll right click on my project. Same way like I've added calculator jar. I'll go to build path, add external archives, download, and add this jar file. That's it. That's the only configuration you need for Selenium. Selenium is added to our project, right? Selenium configuration is 100% done. You need Java, JDK, you need Eclipse, you need this jar file. That's it. Now you can automate any website in the world. How? In calculator jar file, we have a calculator class. In Selenium jar file, we have Selenium related classes. So instead of this, I'll call one of the class called as Chrome driver. I'll create an object of that class, Chrome driver equal to new Chrome driver. That's it. That's it. And now if I click on run, what will happen?
फ्री हो गए करूँ थोड़ी देर में क्लास में बैठूं
See what happens? It launches a browser. Don't worry about these red line code, red line warnings coming. It's nothing. It's a browser based warning. But what happens is when I click on run button, it launched a browser. See, just by creating an object of this class, a browser is launched. So where the code is written for launching the browser? Maybe some developer has written some 500 lines of code to launch a browser with a very complex logic. But where is that code written? Can anyone tell me where is that code written?
Inside the Selenium jar.
Inside the Selenium jar file. Inside this jar file, the code is written. Where inside this jar file?
Maybe under the
Under
Chrome
what?
Chrome interface
Chrome interface. Chrome driver is a class.
class.
Inside the Chrome driver class. Where inside the Chrome driver class? Come on, guys. Where inside the Chrome driver class?
In constructor.
In the constructor. Correct. Not inside any method. We have not called any method. What happens whenever we create an object of any class? The very first thing that is called is a constructor. So even in this Chrome driver class, there's a constructor. Even if you don't give this, just create an object with a new keyword and run this. The very first thing that will happen is launch of a browser. So whosoever developer has created this class must have created a constructor and written a code inside it, which is launching the browser. Now, where is the constructor? What code is written? Why are we worried about it? We are using Selenium as an automation engineer. We need not to go inside the Selenium library to see what code is written. That is a development code. We're not going to develop Selenium. That is already developed. There are thousands of methods created, which is fully tested and working absolutely fine. Right? We just need to call those methods. And how to call it? By just creating an object of this class, we can call it. So let's say I want to navigate to a website. I'll say driver dot. I get access to all the methods in this library. I'll start calling method one by one. First method is driver.get. It is asking me to provide the URL in a string format. String means double quotes. I'll provide http waytoautomation.com. Save this, run this again. It will again launch the browser and will navigate to waytoautomation.com. Right? And now one by one, I keep on calling the methods and I can automate the entire functionality. That is how we'll be working on Selenium. Right? So Selenium is not a exe file that you can install. It's just a collection of libraries. It's a framework. It's a project which contains so many classes, so many methods. You just need to understand the basic programming concept in order to call those classes and methods. That's it. You need not to learn Java in advanced level because you're not developing Selenium. Selenium is already developed. All the classes methods are already there. In order to call those classes method, you should be able to understand what is a class, what is object, what are methods, what is basic if else, right? So that is what is included in the basic programming. And then you can automate any website in the world easily. Right? So that's what Selenium is. Now, what makes us better than QTP, UFT, or any other automation tool? If we talk about automation tool, QTP is a tool. So that tool has got some boundary, right? You get a exe file, you set up it on your machine, it provides you a GUI that contains, let's say, 200, 400 features. Now, if you're automating a website, you can use only those 200, 300 features, not more than that, right? When we are doing testing, we do a lot of permutation and combination. It doesn't mean for every permutation combination, there's a feature available in that product. There's a feature available in QTP. So if a feature is not there, we cannot automate that test case. And we say 100% cannot be automated, right? Because that functionality is not supported by QTP, so we cannot automate it. So what we do, we go to HP, we ask for add-ons. They sell their add-ons as well to support any particular functionality. Now, add-ons are also created by developer. At times, add-ons are there. At times, it is not there. Then again, we are restricted. We cannot automate that functionality. Right? This is a major drawback of using an automation tool. But since Selenium is not a tool, there are no boundaries. Anything that is supported in Java, you can achieve that thing with Selenium as well. How? See, now what I want to do, I want to do some testing on database. Database testing is not a part of Selenium. But if I go to one website, which is called as MVN repository, and if I say MySQL, I get this MySQL, I get this MySQL version, I click on the jar file, and see, one jar file is getting downloaded. So MySQL, they provide their own Java project as well, in a form of a jar file. So once this is downloaded, what I'll do, I'll right click on my project. I'll say import, sorry, not import. I'll say right click, build path, add external archives, and I'll add this jar file. Now this jar file contains some classes related to the database connectivity. I call those classes. I create a database connection. I write the query over here. I'll run it. I'm gonna get the output over here itself. So while automating my website, I can also do database testing. I can validate data from my database. Now I want to do some mobile testing as well, because these days every big web applications have their mobile applications as well, right? So people, they perform testing on real devices, Android, iOS. So Selenium cannot test it, but there is a wrapper over Selenium, which is called as APM. So using APM, you can automate Android, iOS application on the real devices itself. So what is APM? APM is nothing. It's again another open source project. Just type APM and see what you're gonna get. See, APM, Java client for APM mobile WebDriver. Right? So this is another extended version of WebDriver. You go over here. Just a moment, guys. Little slow. Just a moment, guys. Looks like, yeah, it's a little slow. So see, this is a jar file. You go over here and see one jar file downloaded. Java client. So same way, same process. Right click, build path, add external archives, add this. And now you can automate your mobile applications as well. You want to automate APIs, web services. For manual testing of web services, we use Postman. But for automation, which framework we use for automation?
Rest assured.
Rest assured. And what rest assured is, this is another jar file.
Java.
So now you can see, if you know Selenium, you can automate all these stuff. So APM guys, they have created something called as a WinApp driver. WinApp driver. This is another jar file, which can automate desktop app. You can open up Notepad and perform testing on it. So not just UI, not just mobile, not just database, not just API. You can automate all these applications, and you can include all these application automation code in one single project itself. So these days, frameworks are designed in such a way. Yeah. Selenium automates UI part. Later on down the line, when you learn API, you can integrate API automation. Then you learn mobile, you can integrate APM. Right? You can integrate mobile automation. You can integrate database connectivity. All these things you can integrate in one single project. But to get started, you need to start with Selenium. And to get started with Selenium, you need to be good in any one programming language with the basic concepts. So we're going to get started with core Java from next weekend, from the very first class. Just cover up your core Java concepts, and then you'll be moved to the Selenium part. Parallelly, we are starting a Selenium batch as well, because people who have completed, some people who have completed core Java, now they're coming to the Selenium part. So they'll be starting with Selenium from me, and you guys who are new, then you'll be starting with the core Java. And Mr. Ajay is going to take the core Java sessions. He's one of our expert core Java trainer, and he's already taken hundreds of batches over here, right? So just go through those core Java concepts, and after that, whatever that you're going to study in Java, we'll be practically implementing that in Selenium. Right, so that's which one is the exact Selenium jar file for whole automation. This is the one we'll be using, latest version only. Right. So that's all, guys, for our today's initial introductory session. I hope you guys.
So I was asking from where, so from same MVN repository we can find this Java file.
Sorry, guys. There's a little bit internet connection issue. I think it's stable now. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay, okay. That's great. Sure. Yeah, that's guys. That's all for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed the session. And if you like, if you have any questions, queries, anything you want to ask, you can ask it right now.
Yeah. Rahul sir, I was asking for this jar file where You'll find this.
Jar file will be using the latest version only. You'll be able to find it on the Selenium website. Just go to selenium.dev and then go to downloads. And then you'll be using it from here.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. So any more questions, guys?
Sir, I was saying that, sir, the framework that we are going to use, sir, is the hybrid framework, or we are
It's a
going to
hybrid
use?
framework only. It's a hybrid framework only.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Whether we will be getting this recording.
Yes, yes. I'll be uploading the recordings, and the recording will be hosted on the portal itself. So if you guys have account on this portal, if you have created the account, then you need to go to my courses. You'll find it inside this particular course, fourth one, the Selenium 4.0 live training. So here I'll be adding your batch that is July 2024, and the recording will be added from here. Right? So students who are attending this session as a demo session, you guys can enroll yourself from this lifetime membership page, and you simply need to click on buy now. And this is for the Indian payments. You can pay through credit card, or you can scan this and pay through any UPI. For international students outside India, you can pay through any card using USD from this link. Once you are done, we're gonna add you in all the WhatsApp groups. We'll be creating a new WhatsApp group for this batch, which I'll be sharing it over the next weekend, and new meeting invites will be created, and we'll be sharing it to your respective mail IDs. So just wait for my mail. By midweek next week, you'll be receiving all this information on your mail ID.
Rahul, one more thing. Are we getting credential for this portal?
Yeah, you should have credentials. If you are already, are you enrolled, Rakesh?
Actually, I have paid through UPI, and
Okay, so in that case,
there you will
you should have. Please check your email. You should have received one welcome kit with the login information. So that will have credentials to all these courses. Just see if you have not received any email, then just revert me back on this mail ID. But I'm 100% sure you must have received it. You just revert me back on this mail ID,
either mail
trainer@waytoautomation.com.
ID or WhatsApp is also fine.
Yeah, WhatsApp, you can ping me on this WhatsApp number. So this is my WhatsApp number and this is my mail ID. If you have any questions, any doubts, you can just revert me back on this.
The same number that we are talking earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So thanks a
Will
lot, guys. Sure, Pulkit.
Rahul, sorry, last question. Like, will the Java and the Selenium batches will run parallelly or will be on the same time?
Yeah, they are going to run at the same time. So yes, you can join either one of them. First, you need to finish up Java, then you will be starting with Selenium. If you know Java, if you are good in Java, or at least if you know basic concept, you want to get started with Selenium, then you can continue with Selenium sessions and go through the recordings of Java during the weekdays.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right?
Thank you.
Else,
Yeah, thank
finish
you. Yeah, that
first,
makes sense.
and
Yeah,
then
thank you.
start. Sure. All right,
Hello,
guys.
sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Sir, I was going through your some recorded previous batch recorded lectures. So I was finding the only page object model with data driven framework.
There's one
So where
data-driven
can I
plus
find?
keyword-driven,
Yes, sir.
which is actually a hybrid framework. So see,
Okay.
hybrid is just an approach. There is no jar file called as hybrid. Hybrid is an approach. When we combine multiple frameworks, we call it as a hybrid framework. So data plus keyword is a hybrid. We add another page objects layer, we add another page factory. So that is what a hybrid framework.
Where can I find this framework that you have taught the
So
hybrid
for
one?
frameworks, like we are going to cover two frameworks in the live projects. So if you go over here, two frameworks, you'll find it here itself. So if you go through these recordings, so you'll find a data-driven page objects, page object model with page factory covered over here. So last 9, 10, 11 session, you'll find it over here. Plus, if you go down, you'll see one course called as Automation Architect course. So this course contains 7 different frameworks in which you'll have data-driven, then data-driven extended with Grid and Docker, next version of this, then page objects. You'll find page object model with page factories. You'll find Cucumber BTD with page object page factory. You'll find the next level, extended level of page object with page factory, and then one Cucumber with parallel execution using Grid. So these are the 7 major projects. In case you go through these frameworks, then there is nothing in the interview you cannot answer related to the framework designing concepts. So, but in order to work with these frameworks, first you need to finish up the Selenium training, the initial level Selenium training that we are going to cover. So we'll be covering 2 live projects in live sessions, and then you can follow these 7 projects.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sure. All right. So thanks a lot, guys. Thank you. And thank you for your patience. I hope you have enjoyed the session. So we'll meet next week. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Rahul.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Rahul.
you.
Thanks.